again, I'm back on my sofa and I'm just doing a little more knitting on my swing top. That's what I'm going to call it, my swing top. I'm doing some more on the sleeve. I wanted so much to talk to you about the art of knitting, in the sense that the art of knitting is quite often in the shaping. The art of knitting is also not just shaping, but the colours that you use, the textures that you might think of using. This one particularly is textural, colourful, and full of shaping techniques. And they're actually quite simple. It's a bit frightening sometimes, isn't it, when we look at a pattern and see the lovely shapes and you think, well, how does that happen? I'm knitting down the sleeve. As you know, this is my second sleeve. Second sleeves I always get stuck on the second sleeve. I think everybody does, really. It's like a second sock. I don't do a lot of sock knitting, but I do know that I had one sock for a very long time in my knitting bag once. And eventually I did get to knit the second sock. So, the shaping on this one, again, is quite simple. And it's quite surprising as well. So initially, as I said, I picked up the stitches along the side of this scarf-like piece. See? I will join these together. How I'm going to do that is another thing. Do I put a little button placket up there so that it has a buttoned collar, which was quite fashionable back in the day? Or, because I did actually knit one in the 70s with a rollover collar and a button placket with a few buttons on it. It was a lovely jumper, that. I wish I'd kept patterns and things and took photos and things then in those days, but I'd only left school and was starting my first job. I didn't think about those things then. I just remember that it was a lovely sort of pine, almost a cypressy green, with lovely puffed sleeves, lace sleeves, and I think the body had a cable in it. But it was this lovely collar with the buttons down it. So do I do a button down collar, or do I do a polo neck collar, which was what I was kind of thinking in the first place. So I've gone off pieced again. So anyway, I picked up all the stitches along the edge of this piece that I'd cast on and half made into a scarf, and then decided, oh, it's big enough to go over my head. This could be a collar, that sort of thing. So anyway, I went down, I did my normal round circular neck calculation and split for the sleeves and the body. So after that, it was straight all the way. I didn't increase anything on this at all. Straight all the way. But look, it's got a kind of a swing to it. You see what I mean? And the reason I believe that is because of this. Now, this is just one thread. It's quite thick even with one thread, but I don't want anything stiff and thick around my neck. It would be uncomfortable. So I used one thread. Let me just get it out of my bag again. Yeah. So when I'm saying one thread, it's very thin. Look at it. Thin. So on a black thread, and it has little pieces of yarn spun onto it. And like I said, you could do this yourself. If you are interested in spinning, spin some of your hand-dyed yarn at regular intervals onto a piece of mercerized cotton. That's the best way to do, actually, mercerized cotton, because it doesn't unply. That's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't unply. So when I got to the bottom here, I'd been knitting down in just ordinary double knit black yarn. And as I said, I had recycled that from a few balls of yarn, and it doesn't seem to look as if they are any different from each other. You cannot see because it's black, basically. So when I got to the bottom, I wanted to do a couple of inches in this lovely yarn. It's an ice yarn, and I don't know what they call it. It's recycled, so, and they don't always put things on the labels, I've noticed. Anyway, whatever. I used a thread of that with a thread of my black yarn, and I knitted them both together. So there's my black yarn. There's my other yarn, and I just knitted it as I went along together. I suppose in a way plied it. My sort of ply. It's a bit like having a double knit yarn and then putting alongside a mohair, a silk mohair. It's that sort of idea. So that's what I did, and that's made it a little heavier. So therefore it is now weighted. And because it's weighted, it can swing. If I'd just done it in the pink, it would have, shall we say, been thin like this at the top and very flexible, pliable. It wouldn't have done much to the shaping. And I also did these last rows in garter stitch, because that meant on one side I'd get some threads, and on this side I'd get some threads as well. But I went through with a tapestry needle and pulled a lot of the threads through onto this side, just to give that effect. Now with the sleeve, now the art of shaping in the sleeve, we always know to get a bell sleeve, you don't always need to decrease. But I wanted more of a bell sleeve, see? So it became like that. So I used the same principle as I use for my circular yoke. So a few inches down, I did an increase row. Then another few inches, I did another increase row. And then another increase row to get this bell shape. And I quite like it. I quite like it. You can see where I've done the increases, can't you? Just about. Like I say, it's black. It's not so easy, is it? And then I did the exact same principle for the edging of the sleeve. So that's what I'm going to do with this sleeve. Same thing. I've done my first increase. I'll be coming up soon to do my second increase. But what I would love to know is what do you think? Do I make this a polar neck? Or would you like to see a button band with some black buttons or pink buttons or silver buttons or whatever as a button down collar? I've knitted it in so that that's a possibility. It kind of is in conjunction with the beginning of my circular yoke, which is at the beginning of the sleeve. So that just works right, shape-wise. I'm trying to keep my wording simple, and that's not easy. I sometimes look at the transcription notes at the end of my videos and I look at it and think, oh dear. But I have got a bit of an accent as well, which doesn't help always. Anyway, let me know what you think about the collar. Tomorrow, if you're going to stop by tomorrow, I'm going to work on a theme this week, basically on the art of knitting. But tomorrow I want to talk about sideways knitting techniques. And I've started, some time ago I started this. And this is a sideways cardigan. So I'll go into more detail about that tomorrow. So stop by. I will probably need some help in finishing that one too. I'll show you where I got my inspiration from. There's a couple of books that have helped me along the line. And yeah, some of these, as I say, are samples that are going to go in my self-published book coming out next year. Got to do it now because I've said it. Oh, and just before I go, I've done a bit more on the ice dress. That's what I'm calling it, the ice dress. Oh, it's beginning to look a bit frozen, isn't it? I have two colours. I've got this blacky blue one there, and I've also got this pink one. So I thought I'm going to integrate them. And tomorrow I'll probably ask you the same question. How would you like me to finish it? But we'll get there tomorrow. Do a bit more on it today, and I'll give you an update tomorrow. So I'll see you again. And keep knitting.